Sally, what are your top 3 tips for letting agents and acquiring their competitor agents?
I think the first thing to do is to see your competitors not as competitors. I think you should look at them as opportunities. We can always do a deal, can't we? And one of the things that I've always thought of is everybody in business is usually open to a chat and a coffee and look at opportunities, and why not? And so I think the problem with letting agents at the moment is, or up until now, is that a lot of letting agents are, they won't talk to you. I mean, I've been to so many letting agency meetings where they just don't talk or communicate because they might steal my ideas or nick something from me. It's like, no, start talking to people. So the number one tip has got to be start talking to your community. Start talking to other agents in your town. Meet for a coffee. Go where they go. Get to know them. Because it's when you know people and you talk to people, that's when deals are done. But if you've got no connections with them, then that's not going to help. Another tip would be to really start to analyse the market. And I'm always interviewing. I always love interviews because you find out all sorts of things at interviews, don't you? I also like to analyse, what sort of penetration people have got into the market, what property, what sectors they're in. And I try to have a picture in my mind of where we all sit in a particular town, whatever I'm looking at. And I find that very useful. And I would even go so far as to say is keep a spreadsheet on it, as where everybody is, how many properties you think they're managing, how many staff they've got, where they're located, what their big challenges are, what they're great at.
Where they are on their life cycle.
Absolutely.
Because let's be honest, someone who's 55 or 60 is more likely to want to sell.
Absolutely. Look for the signs, the retirement signs, the faded shop sign over the door, the faded window displays, the aged staff sitting at the front desk that don't seem to do a lot. Look for the signals.
I used to be national sales manager for Belvoir Lettings, and I noticed when, because we were dealing with acquisitions in our department, is that agents could often bag a bargain because this is exactly what you've just said. Letting agents see their landlords, especially old school ones, as their babies, and they're looking for someone to look after their babies. Mm-hmm. And I've seen stuff go for 20-30% below market value because they didn't want to sell to the corporates or anyone else, but they sold to this person because they like them. Yeah. And it comes back to what you were saying about build relationships, take them out for a coffee.
Yeah.
So you're so right.
Yeah. And nowadays, of course, you don't necessarily have to start with a coffee. You can start by connecting them on LinkedIn or on Facebook and get to know them on social media and join the same groups and just chat to them so that you're opening the door of communication before you get to the coffee.
But surely letting agents are going to think, oh, he's trying to tap my business. Is it just a case of let's meet up for a coffee or even bring up for a comparable, do you think, or something?
Yeah, I think
it's the first call. It's like trying to go on a date. The old days. Nowadays, these kids have got Tinder. You can swipe right. You can't do that with letting agents.
Maybe we should create one, Chris. It's as simple as that. I'm a letting agent. You're a letting agent. I've got an idea. You're free for a coffee, and it is literally as simple as that. And one of the things I find that letting agents have an advantage over the corporates is that this one line that my husband said, and I think he's absolutely spot on. And he says, you have to remember that when you're selling to a large organisation, whatever business you are, you're selling to a large organisation. The large organisation is a professional buyer, and you are an amateur seller. So if you're buying somebody and you are an individual agent, you are going to be working on a similar basis to them, whereas a corporate is going to be coming and trying to get as much value out of that deal as they possibly can, and they know all the tricks, whereas you're probably not. So quite often you can do deals where the corporates can't because you can be a little bit more amenable in some cases, so that tends to work in our favour.
If any letting agents out there want to go down the acquisition route, are you happy for agents just to pick the phone up to give some guidance and support?
Yeah, just connect with us on the Agent Rainmaker group, connect with us on there, the chat is going on all the time, and there's lots of people and we can all help and support you, definitely.
Excellent.
Thank you, Chris.